Hello YouTube, welcome to my second video, and today I'm going to be talking about Flay photography. Before I continue, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody who watched my first video, particularly everyone who left me some comments and some nice feedback. It was good to see some comments there for some photographers I really respect as well. So during lockdown I've been trying out a few different techniques, one of which is I set myself a challenge with this pack of cards just to see if I could come up with something interesting using a Flay photography technique. I put the image up on Instagram and I had a comment from Susie Jane8, who's got a really nice Instagram feed. You should check that out. Just to say they'd be interested in seeing a video on how I produced that image, so that's what this video is about today. So what is Flay photography? Well, it's a type of photography where you take a photo of an item or a group of items from above, looking down on them. It's used quite a lot in food photography, also in product photography, and it's a really popular technique that you see quite a lot on Instagram. Quite often you also see vloggers use this technique when they're doing reviews, such as like talking about what's inside their camera bag, where they will nicely lay out their gear and take a photograph of that to help illustrate what they're talking about. So here's an example of my vlogging kit, which I take out with me when I'm going out into the landscape. It's a lightweight kit, so dead easy to carry around, and this just shows a few items other than the camera, such as the mini little tripod thing, the microphones I use as well. So that kind of image is a bit boring, so just to make it a bit interesting you might put a few items in there that maybe personalise it more to yourself. So for instance, because I'll be using this out in the landscape, you maybe put like a map in or a compass just to show that. And also like maybe my pocket knife, which is always in my camera bag as it's such a handy tool. Also note I took that horrible tripod out because I just don't like the design of it. I look like blooming anal beads and nobody wants them in the camera bag. So there's a few things you need to keep in mind when you're doing this. So if you've got an item like this, you don't want anything else in there really that's going to compete with it, so you don't want anything taking away the attention for the main focus of the photo. Also you've got to bear in mind some of the basics, things like balance. You don't want everything like to one side, otherwise it may look a bit odd, and maybe you want to try and make it look a bit more interesting. I added a few like textures in there, which I'll talk about a bit later on. So like the first thing I was thinking about when I saw this pack of cards is like a suitable background for it. Now you can get backgrounds like photo boards. Photoboards.org is a good website where you get these textured backgrounds that look like wood or metal, for example, and they can look really nice against different products. Another thing you can do is go and have a route round in your garage or at a charity shop and just see if you can come out with a few items that would look cool around what you're trying to show off. So for me, charity shops aren't open, so my first port of call for this was my garage. So I'm out in the garage to have a look through all my knickknacks. Now, I'm dreadful at wanting to keep things, so when people are telling me they're throwing things out of an old shed, I'm usually round there to have a look through to see if I can find anything that's old or interesting that would maybe make a good photography backdrop. So let's have a look, see what I can find. So immediately my eyes come to all these old boxes, and all these boxes are also full of lots of like knickknacks and old tools and old rusty items. So I think might be able to find something within these. So this is everything I found. I found this great old box, which I think can make a cool background. Also these boxes that are full of like old bits and bobs, old tools that look cool, coins, spanners, you name it, it's in here. So I'm going to take these back into the house and see what I can do. So I'm back in the house. I've picked a box that I think will show the cards off well. The box is sort of fairly dark against the cards, so you can see that there's quite a bit of contrast there between the white of the card deck and the box, so they makes it pop a little bit more. But to make it pop just that little bit more, I'll put some coins under the box. It just pops it forward and gives it a little bit more of a 3D feel. So I've got the cards in, and then in the next I begin just sort of placing some items around it just to decorate really, and just to help frame them cards. So these are all just like little knickknacks that were in these boxes that I found. So I just quite like the selection of them, and I think they look really nice. And just as an extra thing, just to help make this
image look a bit better, add a bit of texture throughout the image, I use some of the sawdust that's already in the box. I just sort of scatter this around on top of everything, and I think that just helps put that texture throughout the image, and I think it looks really cool when I do that. So that's how I build up an image like this. So these are the lights I use. I use 2 continuous light sources. On each one of these I have a softbox, and this just gives a nice even light over the image, which is what I like for this type of photography. You don't need to buy any fancy lights for this. If you want to do this at home, you could easily use a window and a reflector. If you haven't got a reflector, you could easily just use a big piece of paper or a big bit of white card, bit of tin foil wrapped around something. They work really well.
Okay, so that was the process I used to create this image. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you did, please do hit that subscribe button so you can see more of my videos in the future. Also, if you want to check out my Instagram, I'll put the handle somewhere on the screen so you can check me out on there. If you do decide to have a go at this and you create some images after seeing this video today, do tag me on Instagram. I'd love to have a look at them and probably give you a thumbs up and maybe leave a comment as well. So thank you for watching today. So for next week I've got the video planned already. It's been a busy weekend of photography in the Anthony household. So next week I plan to show you how I created this self-portrait of myself sat at the poker table. So thank you and goodbye.